Hello everyone, and welcome back to my chatty, sassy channel here on YouTube, where we talk about all things luxury, be it luxury fashion, luxury travel, or life's luxuries in general. And today I'm going to be talking about some luxury things that I love so much I am absolutely going to keep buying, as well as some luxury things that I've realized I don't need to spend my money on anymore. And that doesn't mean that they're necessarily regrets, but it does mean that those are areas that my money does not need to go to, because luxury things are expensive and they get more and more expensive every single year. So I have 3 things that I'm no longer going to be buying, 3 things that I'm going to continue to buy. And with that, let's get into the video and let's start out with one of the items that I am not going to be buying anymore. And that is shoes. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to buy a luxury pair of shoes. There's some caveats or some categories of shoes that I'm not going to be buying anymore. First off, I don't see myself doing any repeat styles of shoes. I love the shoes that I have, but what I found is that any of the styles that I have that are a repeat style, I always gravitate towards one color far more than I do any of the other colors. And that means that if I have 2 pairs, I might wear, out of the 2 of them, if I'm looking at the total use, it might be that I wear one of them 80% of the time and the other one 20% of the time. And that's just too much skewed to one direction for it to be worth it to spend this kind of money, spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a pair of shoes where I just don't gravitate towards that second color. And it usually typically is the second color that I got in the shoe, not the original one that made me fall in love with the shoe to begin with. Because I'm like, well, I loved it in this color, surely I'll love it in this color. And so, for instance, my new Hermes sneakers that I got, I love those sneakers. I love wearing them. They're super comfortable. I thought about getting a second pair because that's how much I love them, but I realized that the way that I style these sneakers, one of 2 things would happen. Either the current pair that I wear wouldn't get worn as much because it would take use away from that pair, since it's a very versatile color, and shift it to the new pair. And that means that neither pair would really be getting that much wear out of it. Or the new pair just wouldn't get worn at all because I have the pink pair that I already love. And so when I'm thinking of that, to me it tells me that, hey, these are not things that I need to be spending my money on. I'm also not gonna spend money on shoes that are not a perfect fit. Because anytime that I get a pair of shoes, whether they are luxury shoes or non-luxury shoes, and there is any part of that shoe that is not comfortable, not 100% comfortable, I do not wear them. And I either have to force myself to wear that shoe because it was expensive, or I just don't wear it at all. And closet space is a premium because I have a lot of stuff. And so I cannot be bringing in things that are just going to sit there because they aren't comfortable to wear. That being said, there is something that I have a lot of in my collection that I'm going to continue to be buying, and that is David Yurman jewelry. Far and above, I have more David Yurman than any other brand in my collection, and I love all of my David Yurman. There is not a single piece of David Yurman that I have at this point that I would get rid of. I've sold 2 pieces. Both of them were pieces that I had bought for myself that I'd bought pre-loved, and I just never really wore them because I had sentimental pieces that were either given to me or that were inherited from someone that I love, and I always go for those pieces instead. And so that was just sort of a lesson to me of, hey, just let these things be gifted, that way they have sentimental value and you love them. And so I don't have a single piece of David Yurman jewelry that I would get rid of. And every time that I make a David Yurman collection video, and I've made a few at this point, I say, yeah, you know what, I don't see myself really getting much more David Yurman jewelry. And then I get a lot more David Yurman jewelry because they keep coming out with new pieces. There's not really a lot from the classic range that I want anymore. I have decided that I want to add in a couple of gemstone pieces that are birthstones, but aside from that, most of the pieces that I want are going to be higher end that I'm adding from David Yurman. So I think that the frequency with which David Yurman has been added to my collection in the past may go down, just because I'm looking for those more unique, more special pieces that therefore are going to be more expensive pieces. But in doing that, I'm still going to bring David Yurman into my collection. Like, one of the things my husband told me, he's like, yeah, like, you're probably always going to have David Yurman under the Christmas tree at a bare minimum from his dad, usually from him as well, because it is a brand that all of us in our family truly love. Now, the next thing that I do not need to buy any more of, and that is going to be luxury scarves. I have, and I'm talking all sorts of luxury scarves. I'm talking twillies, I'm talking 90 by 90s, I'm talking shawls, I'm talking winter scarves, I'm talking any type of scarf that you could imagine. I don't need any more scarves. I did a video a little while ago where I did my entire luxury accessories collection, and I didn't realize how many scarves that I had and how many twillies I had until I brought them all out and I was showing them. I also didn't realize how many of them I don't really wear that often, because I really just wear one winter scarf, which is my Givenchy winter scarf. If I'm wearing a stole, I'm really just wearing one Hermes stole. And then when it comes to my twillies, I do rotate through my twillies, but I have so many at this point, one for any use that I could need. I just don't see myself adding any more twillies in because I don't see myself having a use for any more twillies. So for me, I just don't see there being any more scarves added. I have so many non-luxury scarves as well that you guys didn't see in that video. So many wraps, so many wonderful pieces of cashmere. They're just great quality cashmere that if I needed a wrap or something like that, I don't have to have a luxury one for because I have really high quality ones. And so I just don't see, for that reason, there being any need for me to add any more luxury scarves of any sort or size into my collection. But something that I have a lot of that I will continue to add to my collection is handbags. And that is because there are just so many amazing handbags that are out there, so many incredible vintage varieties and amazing unique pieces that could be added into my collection, but also there's so many bags that have not come out yet. And so I think that I will always add bags. I don't see myself adding 4 or 5 bags a year. I see myself maybe bringing in 1 new handbag a year and maybe 2 new handbags a year. But I just don't see myself adding a lot of them, but I do see myself continuing to add them because these are beautiful pieces of art that I like to use, and I like to have a variety to use. Most of my needs are covered. I have a few bags that I'd like, and I've done a video on like what the 5 dream bags would be if I could add them into my collection. And so there are some bags that will be added from that list. There are some bags that are not on that list that'll be added just because I like them and I can buy them, and so I will. There are bags that eventually may move out of my collection, but honestly, most of the bags that I have now, I don't see myself selling because I genuinely really love them, unless they're bags that are already listed for sale. But I think absolutely, like, there are going to be bags that are added in. It's just a fact of life for me. I've had bags since I was 5 years old, and I've gotten bags every year since I was 5 years old, and that's not going to stop now that I'm 30. One thing though that I'm very settled in that I don't see any need to buy any more of is perfumes. So I have 3 perfume bottles. I have had one of those perfume bottles for 5 or 6 years. I've had another one for 3 or 4 years, and then one that I got at Christmas. And not a single one of them has ever become empty. I don't wear perfume that often. When I do wear it, I do maybe 1 or 2 spritzes of it. And so perfumes last me for so long. When these eventually run out, I might buy another bottle for them just to replace, but I certainly don't need to add any more scents. I have my Chanel No. 5, which I think is a great one that I typically wear more in spring and summer. I have my Celine cologne Francaise or something like that. I have that one that I wear a lot of times in fall and winter during the day. And then I have my black tie by Celine that I wear for evening and formal events. I have no need to have any other perfumes. I don't have a desire to have any perfumes. I don't use them enough to need any other scents as well. And having a whole bunch of different scents to choose from, just like having a whole bunch of different like makeup, eyeshadow palettes, lipsticks, blushes, all of that, that doesn't interest me. Having a lot of different perfumes to choose from doesn't interest me either. I want to just keep it nice and simple and go with the same thing every day. And then the final thing that I'm going to keep adding to my collection is something that I don't have very much of, but I do genuinely love what I have, and that is Hermes ready to wear. And they're probably going to be more fall winter, more like cardigans, things like that, because it's stuff that I wouldn't have to wash constantly. I don't see myself adding a lot of summer pieces because I live in Tennessee and it's hot and it's humid and I get sweaty. And I don't want to have to worry about constantly needing to wash a whole bunch of very expensive things or take them to the dry cleaner, because the dry cleaner that I had been using ruined a bunch of stuff and refused to pay and make it right. And so I'm having to find a new dry cleaner. So there's just no reason for me to really add a lot of summer wear pieces, but I do see myself adding cardigans, adding jackets, adding dresses, adding sweaters, adding particularly like their toilanes. I really like their various toilane pieces. And so I definitely can see a lot of those coming into my collection because there's so many beautiful pieces, so many beautiful skirts, so many beautiful outfits that I see walk down the runway that, unlike a lot of runway shows that are not at all meant to go into someone's real everyday life, a lot of the Hermes pieces are pieces that I genuinely see myself wearing, and they're pieces that I think would genuinely fit into my life and into my style, and because of that, it would be worth the investment for me because they are pieces that I will be able to wear for a very long time because they have a lot of very timeless styles in their pieces. So with that, those are the 3 items that I'm not going to be buying any more of, and the 3 items that I'm absolutely going to be adding more of into my collection. With that, I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that you have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye!